Welcome everyone to Couch Potato Diary. It's a Fights in Football Friday. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can find me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm at Primetime Klein, twitch.tv/primetimepk, and you can email the show, couchpotatodiary@yahoo.com. Coming up on the show today, it is all about the NFL and I was going to say power rankings. We did that yesterday. All about the NFL and some pound for pound rankings in the UFC, as well as getting ready for a big fight this weekend. So that is what's coming up. If you're looking for Flames reaction, I was on Game Over Calgary yesterday, breaking down another disappointing Flames loss at the hands of the St. Louis Blues. So we got into that one. A lot of yelling. For the next game for Game Over Calgary, I'm going to be in Edmonton. So come check me out along with Ani and the entire Game Over Edmonton crew as we are at the Pint on White. Get your tickets. It's available. I have shared the links all over social media. So check that out. Okay, I think that's all the plugging I need to do. Let's get into the show. All right, it is week 8 in the NFL. Let's kick this thing off with the Rams taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas favored by 5.5 points. I just don't think this offense is good enough to put this team basically a touchdown ahead of the LA Rams. I think the Rams offense is going to give this Dallas team a bit of a problem. And so I think the Rams keep it close. I like the Rams plus 5.5 in this spot. Minnesota taking on Green Bay. This one pains me as someone who was behind the Packers to start the season. They're just not very good. This offense has been completely bogged down. Jordan Love has been rather ineffective. And the second year jump that I was hoping for from some of these wide receivers, it just hasn't happened. Now they've been banged up, not the receiving core, although a little bit, I guess, but Aaron Jones has been banged up. They've had some issues on the offensive line, but Minnesota's starting to figure some things out. So I like the Vikings in this spot. I'll take Minnesota minus 1.5. We have Atlanta taking on the Tennessee Titans. The Falcons favored by 2.5. It feels like the beginning of a new era out in Atlanta. The only reason this number, out in Tennessee, the only reason this number isn't higher is because the Atlanta Falcons offense hasn't really looked all that competent with Desmond Ridder at the helm. But we'll see now what Tennessee does. Will Levis is getting the start at quarterback. It feels like a new era is beginning in Tennessee, and one that's probably going to bring a bit of pain for a little bit. New England taking on the Miami Dolphins. The Finns favored by 8.5 points. Tua just has his way with Bill Belichick. I get that the Patriots had their big win last week against the Buffalo Bills. I think that's more on Buffalo, as we saw from Thursday, than it is on Miami. I think the Dolphins, they hung with the Eagles, so they're going to absolutely annihilate the Patriots. I'm going with the Dolphins minus 8.5. Houston taking on Carolina, battle of the top 2 drafted quarterbacks in the National Football League from this last season. I'm going Houston. The fact that this is only 3.5 is really surprising to me. This Carolina team has really struggled so far this year. Houston hasn't really blown anyone out, but they look miles ahead of Carolina. So this is a pick that I'm clicking on. We're going to go Houston minus 3.5. The New York Giants taking on the New York Jets. The Jets favored by 1.5. Tyrod Taylor is getting the call again under center. This offense has looked better with him, although I would imagine Saquon Barkley coming in kind of helps that out. But the Jets, this Jets defense has kind of got back to what people thought they were going to be. And the offense has looked semi-competent at times, which is more than you can say for the Giants. I just think the Jets are a better team, and I think they're better by more than 1.5. So I like the Jets here in this spot. Jacksonville taking on Pittsburgh. I'm going to continue to bet against the Pittsburgh Steelers until the cows come home. I just don't think this team's very good. I think Jacksonville's quite a bit better, so I'm going to go Jags minus 2.5. New Orleans taking on the Indianapolis Colts. I don't have faith in either offense. We saw the Colts put up big numbers last week against a pretty good defense out in Cleveland. I think New Orleans' defense is pretty good too. I don't trust their offense to put up big numbers against the Indianapolis Colts. So the obvious play for me is to go under this total, 43.5. Unders have been really hitting lately. So I think this is one that is going to hit. Philadelphia taking on Washington. I don't get why this isn't a bigger spread. I'm going Philadelphia minus 6.5. No in-depth analysis or anything needed. Philadelphia is better in every aspect of the game than the Washington Commanders are. Commanders can keep some games close, I guess, but Philadelphia, I think that they just got a massive upgrade through the trade deadline to their secondary. This offense is still kind of figuring things out. I think it's borderline insulting to Philadelphia that this is only 6.5. I love the Eagles in this spot. Cleveland taking on Seattle. Once again, no Deshaun Watson in this game for the Browns. But to me, this is more about Seattle. I think Cleveland's defense is going to want some retribution after getting diced up last week. And this Seattle offense just has not been able to put together any type of big plays so far this season. So I just don't think Seattle's offense is good enough to blow anyone out. I like Cleveland +4 in this game. Baltimore taking on Arizona. The Cardinals started the season as that plucky team that was really going out there and really giving these teams a bit of a tough go, and then it would start to fade. And now that's kind of how this season has gone, as teams figure them out. Now maybe Kyler Murray plays in this game. As of this recording, we don't know that, but I don't think it matters. This Baltimore team is on fire right now. I love the Ravens -9.5 in this spot against Arizona. Cincinnati taking on San Francisco. A lot of this is about what's going on with San Fran. Brock Purdy is banged up. He's probably not going to play. Sam Darnold will get the start at quarterback. Deebo Samuel is out for another week against a Cincinnati Bengals team that's coming off of a bye, hopefully a little bit healthier. We'll see what they can do. This is a massive spot for Cincinnati. They have a game here against San Francisco. Then they have a matchup against the Buffalo Bills next week. These are two real measuring stick games that we're going to see what the Bengals are made of. I am going to go San Francisco -4, though. I just don't think Brock Purdy is the reason for the success in San Fran. I think Sam Darnold is going to show that he is more than capable of being Brock Purdy, at least. So I like San Fran in this game. Kansas City taking on Denver. Kansas City's offense is getting better every week, and Denver is just continuing to be really, really bad. I think the Chiefs will blow out another division opponent here this week. I'm going Kansas City -6.5. The Sunday night game is an awful one. It's the Bears against the Chargers, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why this total is 46.5. This is another one. Do we trust the Chargers offense right now? No. Do we trust the Bears offense right now? No. I get both of these defenses are bad, but I don't think either of these offenses are good enough to take advantage. So I'm going to say Bears under 46.5. To Monday night, another awful game. It's the Raiders taking on the Detroit Lions. Detroit is favored by 8. The Raiders have done nothing. Like, this offense looks putrid. They got blown out by Chicago last week. What do you think Detroit's going to do to them? I think the Lions just absolutely dominate the Raiders in this spot. I like I like the Chargers -8. So there is a pick for every game in the NFL this week. Let's get into some fight talk with some big changes happening in the UFC. All right, UFC 295 with some big changes happening this weekend as John Jones is out. The fight card isn't this weekend. The changes are happening this weekend. John Jones is out of his fight, so Stipe Miocic off the card as well. It is Sergey Pavlovich against Tom Aspinall for the interim heavyweight championship. I like that they're not making Stipe just fight someone for an interim title. I like that they are keeping this fight of legends together. That just makes the most sense to me, that's what you would do. So I'm happy that they are doing that. Pavlovich against Aspinall is interesting. You have Pavlovich, who is on just some kind of run right now, an absolute crazy run. Aspinall was, and then he lost to Curtis Blades, and now he feels like he's back on it after a first-round win in his last time out. So a couple of intriguing options, but this is where the marketing machine for the UFC has started to fail. Dana has felt asleep at the wheel for a while. You have, these are two of the up-and-coming heavyweights in the division right now. This should be two of the top prospects are facing each other for the interim title. This is great. And instead, there's a lot of people who are just like, who? What? The UFC has needed to do a much better job of marketing quite frankly, marketing the guys who aren't just doing it for them. And this is another example of that. This is going to be a great fight. It's a fight a lot of people should be excited about, and it's just kind of there for a lot of people because the UFC marketing machine hasn't really been there the way that it's supposed to have the last little while. This is going to be a really fun fight. It's a tough blow to this card, obviously. Like, this was looking like one of the biggest cards of the year with that fight on top, and now it's one of those ones where it's like, man, if they put this on ABC, that'd be a pretty good ABC card. Couple title fights, though, at the top of it. It should be a whole lot of fun. UFC pound for pound rankings have changed, in my opinion. So every time there is a shakeup to the pound for pound rankings, I am going to present new ones. So we begin at 10. Max Holloway. He's bumped down a couple of spots. Holloway and Pantoja were at 8 and 9. They go down to 9 and 8. Obviously, nothing that they go down to 9 and 10. Obviously, nothing they have done, but Khamzat Chimaev moves into the top 10 for my pound for pound after a win over Kamaru Usman. So he is now at 8 behind the man who he's going to be fighting next, Sean Strickland, the middleweight champion, stays at 7. Still at 6 is Charles Oliveira. At 5 continues to be Sean O'Malley. At 4 is still Leon Edwards. In the top 3, we do have a change. Volkanovski losing by first round knockout bumps him down. I have him now below John Jones, the heavyweight champion of the world, a 2-division champion in his career, one of the greatest of all time. There is a bit of recency in these, but recently Volkanovski has lost twice. So he moves down. Jones stays at 2, or Jones moves up to 2, and still at number 1, the pound for pound king of the UFC right now on the men's side, Islam Makhachev. So those are your UFC pound for pound rankings. Now, fights to make coming out of UFC 294. We have a few fighters who are featured in those rankings. Islam Makhachev against Charles Oliveira. That was going to be the fight at UFC 294. I think that should still be the fight coming out of it. Dana has said we'll see what Charles Oliveira's cut is doing, but this is the fight to make at 155 pounds for the championship right now. In terms of Volkanovski, I would like to see him stay at 155 and kind of open things up at 145 pounds. So I think the fight to make coming out of that is Volkanovski taking on Poirier, who is coming off of a loss against Justin Gaethje. 2 absolute banger fighters going head to head. Now, it does mean that you're going to have a high level guy who will have multiple losses in a row coming out of this fight, but I think this makes it a big fight, and you immediately create, I think, another title challenger at 155 pounds with that. The middleweight championship, that one's easy. It's Khamzat Chimaev with a win over Kamaru Usman. This was a title eliminator, so he now gets a shot at Sean Strickland for the middleweight belt. For Kamaru Usman, I think he still should get, if he's going to move up to middleweight, I think he should get another top 15 opponent. So we're going to go Kelvin Gastelum for Kamaru Usman as the next fight up. So those are the fights to make coming out of UFC 294. All right, let's close the fights portion here with a little bit of boxing talk. It's a weird one this weekend. It is Francis Ngannou taking on Tyson Fury. Fury already has his next fight scheduled, as it is going to be Fury against Alexander Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world coming up sometime in 2024. But this is like... there isn't a whole lot of X's and O's here. Francis is not a boxer. He is a tremendous power puncher, and holy cow, would it shock the world if he could detonate one of those bombs on Tyson Fury and just absolutely change the dynamic of heavyweight boxing forever. This is more about Francis Ngannou winning. He goes outside of the UFC. He is now on a gigantic stage fighting out in Saudi Arabia, taking on the biggest star in the heavyweight division today in Tyson Fury before he goes off and makes millions of dollars a fight for the PFL and starts a new division of the PFL in his home country. The win or lose in this bout, Francis Ngannou has absolutely already won. He's probably going to lose this fight. Like, Tyson Fury has been doing this his whole life. Francis Ngannou has been training this specifically for a while. There is such a significant difference between being a big striker in MMA and being a high-level heavyweight boxer, and I think we're going to find that out come Saturday night. It would be amazing if Francis did it. I don't know if he's going to be the one that finally tests the chin and passes that test on Tyson Fury. Okay, that is it for all of the breakdowns. Let's close the show today with today's ticket. It's the weekend, so it is a busy today's ticket. Continue to get some tough losses there. I thought we had that Suns one in the bag last night, but LeBron James comes up with a big performance. But this is a busy one. We'll start in the NHL tonight. The St. Louis Blues taking on the Vancouver Canucks. The Blues have struggled to score goals. They are on a back-to-back. The Canucks haven't had a tough time scoring, but the Blues also like to lock things down a little bit. I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair, so we're going to go under 6.5 Blues against the Canucks. In the NBA, Denver's the best team in the league, going up against Memphis, who, they're not that anyone is a Jokic stopper, but they are very exposed at the center spot right now with no Steven Adams. So I like Denver to win this one pretty convincingly. I'm going to go Nuggets -5.5. The Knicks are on the road tonight taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta coming off of a loss against Charlotte. They are at home court advantage maybe, but the Knicks, I thought they should have won that game against Boston, and that's with Randall and Brunson struggling. Randall missed so many gimmies right at the rim. I don't think he will against Atlanta. I think the Knicks win this one straight up, so we're going to go Knicks +1.5. On to Saturday, I like the Toronto Maple Leafs -1.5 against the Nashville Predators. I think the Leafs have started to figure a couple of things out, so I'm going to go Leafs -1.5 there. On to Sunday in the NHL, the Flames and Oilers have both struggled. It's going to be outdoors. It's going to be real cold, so I'm going to go under 6.5 for the Flames and the Oilers. Again, check me out in Edmonton with Game Over Calgary and Game Over Edmonton at the Pint on White once that game is wrapped up for a live edition of Game Over. And then we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the NFL ticket this week. Houston -3.5 against Carolina. The Jets -1.5 against the Giants. Eagles -6.5 against Washington. Kansas City -6.5 against Denver. And Chicago and LA going under 46.5. That is today's ticket. And that's today's show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, live Game Over in Edmonton coming up on Sunday. Tickets available. Links are all over social media. I'm on Sportsnet 960 later today, and then Monday, Tuesday next week. Also next week, going to be doing some play-by-play for HN Live on Friday, so check me out on there. Going to be a very busy next few days in my world. Follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm at Primetime Klein, twitch.tv/PrimetimePK, and you can email the show, couchpotatodiary@yahoo.com. That's it. Thank you all so much, and I will talk to you all later.